Can I go forward,
Yes,
or are we
please,
going to
please,
allow
please.
the video to run? He's videotaping you. Okay.
If you don't have a,
That's fine. Yeah, this is a race judicata issue. We've already had a DHO hear it, an SHO heard it. It was the exact same date range. And then 7/11/12, a subsequent SHO heard this and dismissed the motion again, which was addressing the same condition. So, I mean, it's been heard 3 times. The document that he's trying to advance, I believe he's just misreading, where he reflected, this is a 1/12/11 C84, where he reflects that it says, can the injured worker return to this position of employment? It says unknown. That's former position of employment. The very next line says, can he do alternative duty? Yes. And then it says, given restrictions. So that was what the bona fide light duty offer was in relation to, which is the document he advanced, 1/5/11. The hearing officers have already addressed that it was a bona fide offer. The time frame has been denied. There's no new and changed circumstances. The last C84 on file doesn't extend beyond the period that was addressed. So you don't have a new C84, you have an MMI, and you have a bona fide light duty offer. It's been addressed by 2 hearing officers already. So in the event that you don't deny it straight up or dismiss it based upon lack of jurisdiction, I'll ask that you just deny it.
Thank you. I will make a response to that. My response is that I received payment until January 9th. That does not accrue until February 3rd, where I was at that point in time by Dr. Shah called Master Medical
that's right,
Improvement.
because the staff hearing officer determined that as of January 9th, you had been made and refused a light duty job offer. So that was the proper date for termination of payment.
Again, it was stated to you that I did bring this matter before the hearing board to address the matter of whether I was offered a bona fide work offer. I bring documentation today relative to January 5th offer in which it is deemed.
It's already been adjudicated.
I will still state these matters if I may have the opportunity. I bring this documentation to you of January 5th in which states the work duty that I was given. I will have it be acknowledged that before I received restrictions from works, I had conferred with Human Resources Marcy Alton in relation to occupying a position of a scanner position. I was told that I would and that I would only need to receive restrictions. At that time, I went and received restrictions, and then at that time, after receiving restrictions, I was told to go home and do not return until I'm off restrictions. So from that time, I received this work offer January 5th, and particularly the issue that I had complications with, where it says in lot check, Mr. Clemens would walk the warehouse parking lot and visually verify trailer numbers and carriers with the shipping and receiving office. And for you, it should be noted in my file that I was diagnosed with arthritis at the time before my restrictions. And for this matter, I attended my physician, in which my physician noted that this is unacceptable. That should be very well documented within my doctor's physician. He said no walking parking lot. Particularly, he addressed the issue from an area of that it may be slippery and re-aggravate my injury. But anyway, today still yet I have brought documentation relative to the weather results of the winter of 2010 to 2011. And here it says the average temperature for Columbus was 27.7 degrees. It remained as one of the worst winters that we had, the 28th worst winter that we had in Columbus, Ohio. Worse alone in the past 5 to 10 years such. So I submit to you that I did return on February 16th to the employer and worked for 6.5 hours. At that time, I was told to leave the employer's place without documentation. I fretted that the employer would then later state that I left upon my own, and I contacted police because they were refusing to give me documentation and were telling me to leave. At this time, it's documented by police that they were asking me to leave and basically packing up my things, and I was being terminated that day, unless I had not found out of my official termination until the time about a month later. And particularly, they stated that I missed 3 days after that date that I had left, in which I was giving no notice. So again, I submit to you that my doctor did make reference that my maximum medical improvement was February 3rd, which is before the time that was paid. The bona fide work offer I responded to on February 16th at the early convenience of which was unacceptable. Inside my directorial notes, you should see the opinions made by the unemployment department. They also referenced that I was not allowed to work due to lack of work. So you have Dr. Schaub, the unemployment agency, and now in reference to my February 3rd maximum medical improvement, I present before you that notes of doctoral notes that state that on February 1st, Dr. Woods contacted Dr. Schaub and suggested that I receive conservative treatment. That I attended Dr. Schaub, pardon me, this is January 20th that Dr. Woods contacted Dr. Schaub saying that he suggested conservative treatment. I attended Dr. Schaub on January 20th, that same day, and brought in my letter to him, which was my job detail. At that time, he did deny that I should return on January 5th job due of the walking and parking lot. He did not describe for
I'm
me.
going to ask you if you've got anything you'd like to sort of sum up with, because
Yes, I'm doing it now currently.
Yeah, our time is almost.
What he informed me is that he did not acknowledge to me that he was putting me on conservative treatment until February 3rd. I disagreed with that. But he said that he was not putting me on maximum medical improvement relative to my injuries, as is noted in the doctoral notes and presentations of the materials that I presented to you. In his own words, he stated that my health conditioning was worsening regarding my cervical. In fact, at later months, he even submitted me for NCG testing, in which on February 3rd he stated that if my condition does not improve, he would do that, and he later did that.
And
this shows follow-up proof that
I've seen all of this information that you're referencing.
Yes, I'm happy that you have. So what this is basically giving relation to is that he made a controversy because I was attending college and going to college. I had informed him of that. He made a controversy between me attending college and school. I never brought that issue against it. I informed him that I was returning to work, and that is exactly why I brought the documentation and asked for his approval.
Thank you. Sir, I am
so now I present to you,
that information.
I apologize, officer. I don't want to be disrespectful at all, but I certainly want to get the clarity of my point and discussion across to you so that it can certainly be deemed that I did such. And so I now present to close up as you asked me to do. I present to you that when it comes to maximum medical improvement, my doctor only did that on the basis of his opinion and Dr. Woods that insisted I would start receiving conservative treatment. He acknowledges and continues to acknowledge that I have had cervical issues, in which he later in the months of June and July sent me for NCT testing and has continuously remained me upon restrictions. I know, ma'am. I'm just summing.
Okay.
He says continuously sent me upon restrictions. So I have had cervical injury from that time, and I accepted the bona fide work offer, and it was not in good faith because upon good faith.
I'm going to just pull you up there because, I think I've let you,
And I was terminated from my position.
Have your piece, and I was curious to hear if there was in fact something new, something that had not been previously presented to the Industrial Commission, something that was not already in our file, and I haven't heard anything new. So I am going to dismiss your motion. I don't have jurisdiction to consider the issues that you've raised. They've already been considered. The evidence that you've discussed has already been considered and looked at by this agency. I just don't have jurisdiction to go forward and reopen those issues and take a look at them again. But thank you for coming down this afternoon, and you will get my order in the mail. Both of you will in a few days.
I do have it noted, ma'am, that there are documentation that hasn't been submitted at that time.
Hearing's all done. Thank you very much for your time, and you'll get my order in a few days.
Great to stay.
Thanks.